Do you want to learn how to go from a beginner guitarist to an advanced one? Well, follow along in this video series to find out how. This is going to be lesson 1 in a multi-part series where I teach you how to go from a beginner guitarist, like picking up a guitar day 1, to going to an advanced guitarist to where you're able to do sweep picking and knowing your scales and the fretboard as well. So some things will be needed in today's lesson is obviously a guitar. So you can either borrow one, buy one, or figure out how to get one. If you have not bought a guitar but you're thinking about buying a guitar, I recommend an electric guitar. Starting out an electric guitar is way easier on your fingers, and the thinner neck also makes it easier to play. To buy a guitar, if you're not sure if you want to get into guitar, if you just want to try it, I recommend buying one on Facebook Marketplace. They can be super cheap. You can get them for sub $100. People are selling them at garage sales all the time. So pick one up there used and save some money. Another thing that you're going to need is a tuner. So you can either buy a clip-on tuner like this one in my hand, or you can buy a pedal tuner where your guitar plugs into it, or some amps have them built into it. Or you can download this app called Guitar Tuna on your phone and tune up that way. Another thing that you're going to need down the road, not necessarily right now, is a guitar capo. Make sure you get a decent one. This one's from Kaiser. They're like 15 bucks. But down the road, you'll definitely need one of these, especially if you want to play some country songs. So before we even learn how to tune the guitar, let's go over the lettering of each strings and the notes that they are. So starting at the top here on this thickest string, this is an E string. The string below that, which is the second thickest, is an A string. Then we have a D string. Then we have a G string, a B string, and then a high E string. So the low E and the high E are both the same notes. Just this one's the thick one, which is the low E, and then you have the high E, which is the thin one. So an easy way to remember that is Eddie ate dynamite, goodbye Eddie. It's funny, it's easy to remember, it's easy to say, but that's how I remembered it. There's tons of different phrases and sayings out there to remember that. You can just go on Google and Google how to memorize the guitar string notes. So there'll be tons of them out there. So I used to use Eddie ate dynamite, goodbye Eddie. It works for me, and that's what works for me. So that's what I'm going to use. So I'm going to go ahead and clip on the tuner here. Scoot back so you can see. So I have my tuner on, and I'm going ahead and hit the string. So you're going to want it to be set to 440 hertz, which most standard tuners are, so you don't need to worry about that. And on the app Guitar Tuna, if it's in tune, it'll make a little sound for you, which is awesome. These clip-on tuners don't do that. So hit the string, and if it is below the midpoint, you need to tune up, so you need to tighten the string. So that means turning the tuner away from you. If it is above the midpoint, you need to loosen the string or turn the tuner towards you. So if you need to tighten it, turn it away. If you need to loosen it, turn it towards you. So that'll make the string higher or lower pitched. So you're going to go ahead and do that for all strings, and just go ahead and tune up the guitar. So now you're in tune with your guitar. So once again, let's go over the string names. So we have E, A, D, G, B, E, or Eddie ate dynamite, goodbye Eddie. And there's all your string names right there. So now that you know your string names and you know what each string is, let's go over what a fret is. So a fret are these little metal bars right here on your guitar. So this is the first fret, second fret, third fret, fourth fret, and so on, all the way up the neck. So technically the nut is considered the 0 fret where the strings break over. So if I say fret the low E string of the first fret, I mean this right here. Or if I say fret the A string on the second fret, this is what I mean right here. So simply count up the metal bars and put your finger behind it. So if I say second fret, you go 1, 2, and then you put your finger right behind it. So when you're fretting a note, you just want to start pressing and hitting the string at the same time. So I'm hitting it and pressing it, and I'm slowly building up tension. So I'm going to keep pushing harder and harder and harder until it makes a sound. There you go. You don't want to push too hard because then that'll cut your fingers and cause them to bleed, which will probably happen anyway. That's okay. Just keep going. It's going to hurt. It's going to suck. But once you build calluses, it never happens. So just press as lightly as possible so it still makes a note and it doesn't buzz. Because if you don't press hard enough, that's what you'll get. But if you press just a little bit harder, you get the note. So now that we've gone over string names, tuning, as well as what a fret is and how to properly put the right pressure on a note, let's go ahead and form your first chord. So we'll be going over the basic cowboy chords in today's lesson, which is basically what most country songs are played with, and also most popular mainstream pop songs out there. So these are the chords G, C, D, and A. So we're going to go over those 4 chords today, and as we build, we'll go over more and more chords, and we'll get to more advanced chords as well as bar chords. And I also forgot to mention the E chord. We'll go over the E chord today as well. So to start, what I think the easiest chord is personally is the A chord. So the A chord is just, you're going to go D string on the 2nd fret, you're going to go G string on the 2nd fret, and B string on the 2nd fret. So all your fingers are like that. Now if you have some guitar experience and you do know these basic cowboy chords, try fretting the A note with just one finger. You can bar it across all those strings and play the A note. Sorry, chord. But if you're a beginner, I recommend using each individual finger and putting it on each individual string to make the chord. So again, we have the D string on the 2nd fret, G string on the 2nd fret, and B string on the 2nd fret. And that makes up the A chord. And you're going to play the bottom 4 strings with your picking hand. Okay, now you have successfully played an A chord. That's awesome. Whenever you are picking, I recommend holding the pick like this. So your thumb is just on the top of the pick, perpendicular to the tip, like that. And then your finger just curls up right behind it like that. That's how I hold my pick. Now, if you're not using a pick and just using your fingers to strum, because you may not have a pick, that's fine. You can still just strum the bottom 4 strings like that. Okay, moving on from the A chord, let's go on ahead and play an E chord. So these are pretty simple chords right here, and they're going to be difficult at first, and also transitioning between those chords will be difficult. Just keep practicing and they'll come naturally to you. I feel like one day just clicked for me, and I feel like it'll just click for you as well. So for an E chord, you're going to take your middle finger, put it on the 2nd fret of the A string. You're going to take your ring finger, put it on the 2nd fret of the D string. You're going to take your pointer finger and put it on the 1st fret of the G string, like that. And then you're just going to strum the chord, every single string, just strum it all. It's a very full and rich note. I love it. Okay, so to reiterate, your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the A string, your ring finger on the 2nd fret of the D string, and your pointer finger on the 1st fret of the G string. There is an E chord. And this will come in a later video when I discuss minor chords, but to play an E minor, all you do is just pick up your pointer finger. That's an E, E minor. That's the only difference between those 2 chords. So if you're able to do that, you just learned your first minor chord. So we're not going to focus on strumming today at all, just because that is more of a building technique, and we're just focusing on just getting the bass chords down. So the next chord we're going to go over is a C chord. So a C chord is you take your pointer finger, put it on the 1st fret of the B string. You're going to take your middle finger and put it on the 2nd fret of the D string. And then you're going to take your ring finger and put it on the 3rd fret of the A string. So to reiterate, 1st fret, pointer finger, B string, 2nd fret, middle finger, D string, 3rd fret, ring finger, A string. And you're going to strum every string but the low E string. So you're just going to strum from the 5th string, or technically the 5th or 2nd string, depending on how you're counting, down. And there is your C chord. So far we've learned an A chord, an E chord, and a C chord. So far we've learned 3 chords, and that is awesome. So if you're a beginner or just picking up guitar again, you're doing a great job. Keep going with it. Your fingers are probably hurting a little bit by now. That's okay. If you need to, pause the video, take a break, and come back. So the next chord I'm going to teach you is a G chord. This is probably one of the most common chords I play. I play a lot of acoustic shows live and a lot of country songs, and I swear this is in every single country song out there, including my own songs. So you're going to take your middle finger, and you're going to put it on the 3rd fret of the E string, the low E string. Then you're going to take your pointer finger and put it on the 2nd fret of the A string. You're going to take your ring finger, put it on the 3rd fret of the B string, and you're going to take your pinky finger and put it on the 3rd fret of the E string. So it's a little bit of a stretch right now, and it's a little hard to do, but your fingers will cooperate eventually. You just got to force them there. So again, middle finger, 3rd fret of the low E string, your pointer fingers on the 2nd fret of the A string, your ring fingers on the 3rd fret of the B string, and your pinky fingers on the 3rd fret of the high E string. And that forms a G chord. And again, you're going to strum every single string. And there's a G chord. So we have an A chord, an E chord, a C chord, and a G chord. So the last chord I'm going to teach you in the so-called cowboy chord category is going to be a D chord. So you're going to take your first finger, put it on the 2nd fret of the G string. You're going to take your ring finger, put it on the 3rd fret of the B string. You're going to take your middle finger and put it on the 2nd fret of the E string, the high E string. Some people I've also seen, they play a D chord like this with their pinky finger, but I feel like for a beginner, it's not as a stable chord position as using your ring finger. So again, we're going to have 2nd fret of the G string, you're going to have 3rd fret of the B string, and 2nd fret of the high E string. And you're just going to strum the bottom 4 strings. So the 4 thinnest strings is what you're going to strum. And there's the last of your cowboy chords. So let's go over those again. You have an A chord, an E chord, a C chord, a G chord, and a D chord. So now that you've learned the cowboy chords, it probably is good to know what each note makes up of each chord. But since this is the first lesson, we're not going to go that deep into it. When I talk about the fretboard, we'll go into what notes make up what chords, and so on and so forth. But yeah, just slowly build the chord. Don't rush. Don't get stressed out that you're not playing like ripping guitar solos right away. It's not going to come overnight. If it does, you're like a prodigy. But it will take time. Like for me, I've been playing for, I think, 11 years now. So it has taken a while for me to build up to where I am today. The one thing I can't stress enough is practice, practice, practice. So I recommend practicing 10 to 20 minutes a day, and that's about it. Because your fingers will get hurt, and you'll get stressed out, and you'll just want to smash your guitar. So I recommend 10 to 20 minutes a day, just practicing the basic chords and building the strength and the familiarity with the guitar and the fretboard. When practicing the chords, if you can get it down to where you can play it easily and fret the notes easily, then I recommend start practicing switching. So just strumming down, only down strums. Don't focus on up strums right now, just down strums. So you might just go from D to A, to C, to G, to E. So just practice switching between chords. It doesn't have to be fast. Just go at your own pace, go to what's comfortable, and speed will progressively build as you get more comfortable with these chords. So one more time to recap before the video is over on the chords that we learned. We learned the A chord, we learned the E chord, we learned the C chord, we learned the G chord, and then we learned the D chord. Okay, so that completes lesson 1. I hope your journey to guitar is fun, and I hope that this video was helpful. If it was, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll have part 2 coming out hopefully relatively soon to when I release this video. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe.